There is no better time to start a business, especially if it's online, than now. I guarantee that if you watch every minute of this video and apply what I present to you, you will make a lot of money. At the end of this video, I will also present some business ideas that are gold mines at the moment. It's important to learn the mindset before starting a business so that you can apply what you will. At this point, give this video a like for good karma and let's go straight into what we look at before starting a business. You might often hear about demand or market size. This alone is a good indicator, meaning you need to ensure there is indeed a buying audience that wants what you're selling. However, what will make your business skyrocket is the market growth rate. The market growth rate is the rate at which a market is growing. The market growth rate is calculated using the following formula and is expressed as a percentage. For example, if a market was valued at $100 million last year, and this year it is valued at $120 million, then the growth rate is 20%. The market growth rate is important because it provides you with huge opportunities, even if you're not very good at what you do. In other words, even a business person with average knowledge, skills, and experience can make a lot of money from such a growing market. Investors and entrepreneurs closely monitor the growth market rate to decide where to allocate funds and where to focus their research and development. Factors influencing the market growth rate include market trends, technological advancements, regulatory frameworks, consumer behavior, and geopolitical changes. Therefore, it is not enough to have a consumer base and demand. This audience must be growing at a rapid pace. The success or failure of a business also depends on another factor, which is how quickly or slowly it enters a sector. There are constantly developments around us and trends are being shaped, especially with the pace at which technology is evolving. The speed of decision-making is of critical importance in businesses. The next thing is to listen to the whining and complaints of the people. People love to complain. It's raining again. It's cold. It wasn't cold at all this year. What a heat wave this is, etc. Just one day at your job or on the street is enough to enjoy this wonderful auditory phenomenon. It's a huge opportunity for you, who doesn't think like a sheep or as part of the masses, but as an innovative entrepreneur, to distance yourself from the whining and listen carefully. It's tempting to fall into the trap, to say your piece, and complain along with someone. It's human nature. It's not something bad. At that moment when the other person is complaining, you will surely find something you're not satisfied with in your life to relate to, and before you even realize it, you become one with the crowd. Don't feel bad. It's logical for something like this to happen. However, remember next time you're with other people, to be the one who talks less. Ideally, not at all. Observe. The challenge here for entrepreneurs is to distinguish between absurdity and opportunity. For example, complaints about the weather are not a business opportunity, but a result of people's tendency to whine. However, if you hear a working mother complaining that she doesn't have time to go to the supermarket, that is indeed a business opportunity. Obviously, in a perfect world, and this is perfect because there are problems, and your job as entrepreneurs is to provide solutions to these problems. Many times in business, we talk about competition, and indeed it is a factor that must be taken into account. Again, competition, or more precisely, the fear of competition, is what prevents many from starting. In reality, if you sit down to see what competition exists in all fields, in all the sectors, and in all jobs, you will never do anything. Usually, your idea already exists out there and has been implemented by others. In reality, competition means nothing if you are exceptional. However, even if you are not exceptional and the product you want to sell already exists out there, there is always the option to make changes and improvements. The fact that something already exists doesn't mean you can't do it. 2. No matter how competitive a market is, there will always be room for something unique and superior, or the most reliable service. Success doesn't come only from what you sell, but also from the way you offer it. If the experience you provide is exceptional, customers will return to you, regardless of how many other options there are. Is advertising necessary? Surely, you bought something that wasn't ultimately good, but you bought it because you saw it in an advertisement. Many companies obsessively focus on promoting products and services, without actually caring at all about the product or service itself. Sure, advertising helps you make sales, but if your product isn't of quality, soon your ROI will turn negative. This is easily explained if you know the customer acquisition cost, which is the cost required to acquire a new customer. If the customer acquisition cost is greater than the lifetime value of the customer, then obviously you should not invest in advertising, at least until you figure out how to increase the lifetime value. It is important if you are in your early stages and do not have much liquidity, to focus on how to retain your existing customers. and encourage them to purchase more of your products. There are many examples of businesses that have grown with zero marketing. If you have a strong brand with excellent products and services, fast and efficient customer support, then your customers will do the marketing for you on their own and completely free of charge. Of course, we are talking about what is known as evangelist marketing, where your satisfied customers share their experience with their family, friends, or on social media, talking about something they used and had positive results. Learn everything about your ideal customer in advance. In entrepreneurship, you will hear the ideal customer referred to as the ideal client avatar. Get into their mind, complete their sentences. When you speak, describe your ideal customer. Make them raise their hand in the crowd and say, "That's me." The more specific the ideal client avatar is, the greater the profits you will make. Frequent the places they frequent, speak the language they speak, make them identify with you. For creating the avatar, demographic details are important, such as age, gender, interests, professional status, financial capability, what problems they have, where they hurt. People buy either to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. Therefore, it is important to know what your ideal customer likes and dislikes. It is equally important to identify who is not your ideal customer and to state it clearly. Write it on your page and in your funnels. This program, product, or service is not for these people. It is not for him, and for him. Do not be afraid, but you will lose people. The opposite happens. If someone is not your ideal customer, it should be clear to them, and they should leave on their own. Having someone become your customer who is not the ideal customer will cause you more harm than profit. Finally, remember what Dean Graziosi often says: to fall in love with your ideal customer, always test the market before going all in. As entrepreneurs, you are characterized by passion, creativity, persistence, diligence, perfectionism, and a host of other virtues needed for this job. However, this results in many new entrepreneurs diving headfirst into work and not lifting their heads until they perfect their idea and are ready to launch it to the public. It is very important to test the market before committing. This can be done in many ways. I will mention the following as examples. For example, with a photo or post related to what you are selling. Did it get likes? Did people like it? Did it have engagement? Did it spark interest? With a video on YouTube, as before, we look at the same statistics. With a minimum viable product, create a sample or a smaller or simpler version of the product before spending time and capital to build the complete product. A free webinar or seminar. There was interest. With a simple landing page. Did it have traffic? Did it get clicks? In the end, get opinions. Discuss your idea with unbiased individuals and listen to their opinions. Would they, or their friends, buy what you're offering? In the world of entrepreneurship, rigidity is dangerous. Markets change, customer needs evolve, and businesses that don't adapt fall behind. Recognizing when something isn't working and having the courage to change it is vital for success. How do we do this now? By listening to feedback. As entrepreneurs, we are a bit arrogant. We don't like being told what to do, or what we're not doing right, which is why we often choose to work on our own. However, it is very important to listen carefully to feedback, especially the negative, without taking it personally, even in cases where it is personal. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Set your ego aside for a moment. Always remember that the goal is profit in your pocket, not your pride. Also, don't ignore the numbers. When something declines, try to find out why it has dropped. Don't be afraid to completely change your strategy if necessary. If an approach isn't working, don't stick to it out of stubbornness. Experiment with new channels, different products, or even a different business model. Let's now look at using social media for business development. It doesn't matter which platform or platforms you choose. There is one that you need to focus on. It's completely different to use social media for personal use and as a business. Your sole purpose for being on social media as a business is one and only: to find the ideal customer. Be careful not to find customers, but to find your own customer. There are 3 ways to grow an audience on social media: to buy an audience, to build an audience, and to borrow an audience. The first way is done with paid advertisements and is successful. Instant growth. However, it is very expensive and not recommended for beginners. If you haven't made your first 15,000 organically, don't run ads. The second way takes more time and is obviously done by creating content. The advantage is that you achieve more recognition and familiarity with your audience, with you or your business, and you build a brand. There are two ways to do this. Short-form content and long-form content. Short-form content is ideal for having a greater impact and briefly introducing yourself. It is essentially ideal for the first introduction to your ideal customer. Usually, in this way, we try to find a new audience. Forms of short-form content include short videos, reels, TikToks, a photo, a post, a tweet, etc. Long-form content is ideal for building trust. Always remember that for someone to give you money, the following rule applies. He knows you, he likes you, he trusts you. Know you, like you, trust you. Trust is built only with long-form content and by providing value. Forms of long-form content include educational videos, webinars, events, newsletters, podcasts, articles, etc. Now, as we mentioned earlier, your purpose on social media is to find your ideal client. How do you find your ideal client now? To avoid making this video too long, I have created a detailed guide where I describe the process of finding them. Ideal client avatar, step by step, and I will leave it in the video description for you to check out after this video. The next step is to immediately get rid of limiting beliefs. At this point, 90% of those watching this video will skip. They will move on to the next one. And without wanting to be negative or say something bad, I believe that people who don't want to hear about the subconscious, limiting beliefs, or mind programming tend to have the most failures. As we said, we're a bit arrogant. I have limiting beliefs. Do you know how much I've worked on myself, the mindset, how many books I've read, how many seminars I've attended? All of that is good, but unfortunately, these beliefs are deeply rooted in the subconscious and are difficult to remove just like that. Simply, go read the comments on videos that talk about ways to generate income, and you'll understand people's self-limitation. Money is earned through hard work, with difficult work. If you don't sweat, you don't make money. It's hard, it takes time, it's not going to happen quickly, etc. You see that people expose themselves, or more accurately, their self-limitation gets exposed. It's remarkable how they don't see it themselves when it's so obvious, especially when it's in written form. These limiting beliefs. Even if something was true in the past, it doesn't mean it applies now. If every time you tried to become rich in the past you failed, that doesn't mean you will fail this time. If something took time to build in the past, it doesn't mean it will take time now. The two most common and most dangerous limiting beliefs that most people have. They are, it takes time and it's not easy. Of course, it might be something else blocking you that you haven't even considered. Find your limiting belief and brainwash yourself until you change it. Then you will look to scale up. In general, there are two types of scaling, and of course their combination, horizontal and vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling involves expanding a business by increasing production capacity through more units, branches, or markets. Some examples include a restaurant opening new locations in other cities, a technology company expanding into international markets, an e-shop adding new products in the same category, while vertical scaling means improving internal processes, quality, or productivity, without necessarily expanding the business geographically or into new product categories. Examples. It is a restaurant that improves service and food quality, a company that develops more advanced versions of its products, an e-shop that improves delivery time. The next step you will need to take to grow your business is to delegate. I know that many of you are solopreneurs and do everything on your own. And maybe it's too early to hire someone to help you, I understand. If you do everything on your own, sooner or later, you will burn out and productivity will decrease. Don't forget that the business is an extension of you, and if you are not able to run it efficiently, problems will arise. However, it is important to understand that your time is valuable, and some work that someone else can do for you doesn't need to be done by you. Hiring employees will essentially help you increase your company's revenue. It doesn't take money out of your pocket. On the contrary, it adds to it. Use someone's expertise, experience, different perspective, and specialization to grow your business. To delegate tasks, first identify what needs to be delegated, find the right person, give clear instructions, provide the right tools, and offer constructive feedback. Some examples of tasks you can delegate include corporate development, social media accounts, email marketing campaigns, social media management and engagement, customer support, cold calling, etc. Next, see how connected your presence is with the business. The less the connection, the better. The value of a business increases when it can run on its own. When the business is entirely dependent on you, it cannot operate without your presence, which limits its potential for growth and sale in the future. If you are the face and the key to the business, then every leave, interruption, or personal issue directly affects its performance. A business that relies on your personality or your unique skills cannot easily be transferred to someone else. When all decisions go through you, there are no clear procedures, and your team depends on your guidance for every detail. Remember that when the business can operate without you, it has greater value. The true entrepreneur doesn't just build an income, they build a system that works on its own. And now that we've seen the blueprint, let's look at 7 examples of profitable businesses that have growth and will continue to grow in the near future. First of all, we have the pet industry. The pet industry is huge and continues to grow, as many people try to fill their emotional gaps. Pet owners are willing to spend large sums of money for the care, health, and well-being of their pets, especially creates huge business opportunities. The anthropomorphization of pets has led owners to see their pets as family members, increasing spending on premium products and services. From specialized diets and vitamins to smart gadgets, the industry is constantly evolving. Areas such as pet grooming, training, pet sitting, and pet insurance are becoming increasingly popular. Next example, coaching and online courses. Coaching and online courses. The coaching and online courses sector has skyrocketed in recent years, as more and more people seek knowledge, skills, and personal guidance online. Coaching involves providing guidance to individuals who want to achieve specific goals. It is an industry with huge profit margins and low initial capital. Additionally, online courses offer a more passive form of income, as you create the content once and sell it repeatedly. If you want to learn how to create your own seminars and develop a coaching business, check out the online seminar Coaching Academy, where I present the entire process step by step to get you started immediately. Next, we have health and longevity. This is a gold mine, as people are very interested in their quality of life and longevity. Movements like Brian Johnson's Don't Die are the ultimate trend for the future, from anti-aging technologies to specialized supplements and treatments. This market is expected to reach $3 million in the coming years. The shift in this sector occurred due to awareness, information through the internet, and technological advancements. From genetic modifications to wearables that monitor our health in real time, science has made significant progress. Here, we're actually talking about very early adopters, if you remember the curve we saw earlier, regarding how early someone gets into a trend. It's an industry that is still in its early stages, so those who get in early will reap greater benefits. Cosmetic medicine has evolved from a luxury option to a mainstream market, with millions of people investing in aesthetic treatments to enhance their appearance and confidence. Fewer people want surgical procedures and prefer quick, painless solutions with minimal recovery time. Instagram and TikTok have significantly contributed to the growth of this industry. Additionally, there is an increase in market size, as people of all genders are participating in these procedures. You don't need to be a doctor to benefit. You can open a spa, manage a cosmetic clinic, sell related products, or have informational and educational content online, and even do affiliate marketing for such products. Next, we have the travel industry. 20 years ago, few people traveled regularly and periodically. Now, travel is an integral part of many people's lives. Of course, travel vloggers have played and continue to play a significant role in this. Despite fluctuations due to crises, people's need for exploration, relaxation, and new experiences keeps demand high. The rise of remote work and the digital nomad lifestyle is creating new needs and products in the field. Creating or maintaining Airbnb-type accommodations continues to be a good opportunity. Selling products such as travel packages, itineraries, organizing retreats, travel equipment, and accessories are just a few ideas for the vast tourism industry. Sustainable, friendly products. The demand for sustainable and eco-friendly products is constantly rising as consumers become increasingly environmentally conscious. Businesses that adapt to sustainability principles not only contribute to a better planet, but also gain a competitive advantage in the market. Consumers now check the origin of products and avoid plastics and chemicals. Many governments are promoting stricter measures against unsustainable products, providing incentives to eco-friendly businesses. Technology allows for the creation of sustainable products without compromising on quality and performance. Companies that invest in eco-friendly production enjoy greater customer loyalty. Next, we have content creation. This is like the octopus business, as it has many tentacles. Here, to make a profit, you don't need a huge audience, but a targeted one. Some of the tentacles include revenue from YouTube ads, affiliate marketing, sponsorships, podcasts, newsletters, and selling digital products, like ebooks, courses, etc. The biggest advantage of this business is the low entry cost, which in most cases is zero, since almost everyone has a mobile phone. Additionally, you can reach people from all over the world without geographical restrictions. Businesses now rely almost exclusively on content creation, rather than traditional advertising methods. The majority of the population has saved. Additionally, the publication of content. It's something that most people do anyway, so this method doesn't seem like work. On the contrary, it's fun. So, this was the video on creating a profitable business. As always, stay away from scams and see you in the next video.